Hey crafty people! Welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Okay, so the next Christmas mixed media project I have planned is my little tree lot scene, which most of the stuff is for here, some maybe for other projects. I don't know. I've got way too many projects going on all at once. So for this one, my plan is to take 3 boxes from the Dollar Tree, and they are going to attach together. And yes, I know they're different sizes, and I've fixed for that, like this, so that we've got. So they're gonna go together like that. This one I started just painting in the corners in case when I cover with papers, some of the white area shows. But what I want to do first is they're gonna sit on, this is gonna sit on this turntable, which I'm gonna put something in there to like make it so everybody's sitting up nice and happy kind of thing. But I want to cover the turntable base with some of the grungy paper that we did. So that's what we're gonna do first. And let's see, what is your measurement? Now there's a little bit of a lip here, so I'm just gonna go under the lip. And it's of course gonna be, what is it? I'm gonna say 1 1/4. So we're gonna cut 1 1/4 inch wide strips out of this paper. And I did this in my Christmas Makes inky background video. I will leave a link to that down below. So that will then get glued on like so to cover the outside of this. Did I like cut this like a drunk monkey? I think I may have cut this like a drunk monkey. Is that not straight at all? That is not straight even a little bit. That's some drunk monkey cutting. Probably because the paper's a little warped from all the water that I used on it. But yeah, let's try and do a little bit better of a job of cutting. Yeah. That should be a little better. Let's go this way, and then hopefully we can straighten out at some point. I should have perhaps put this paper under something to flatten it out after I was done making it. Oh well. Let's see if these are enough. Alright, so we're gonna glue it around to cover up the clear plastic because it's just not gonna go well with the aesthetic of the piece. So let's start. I'm gonna use Alien the Ultimate glue because I'm gluing to a plastic piece. Let's get started. And I am gonna grab, that glue is oozing, a clamp. Clamp that first piece into place. And then I'm just going to add more glue and more clamps and go along until we get it covered. I think this is going to be a pain in the neck. but I'm going to carry on. All right, so I'm going to do the rest of this off camera because this is one, not very exciting, and two, kind of a pain in the neck. And I think what I may end up doing, actually, I don't mind if it's like sticking out a little bit because I just wanted to add interest around the edge and not have it be this like clear lazy Susan. So I'm not going to worry about the fact that it's bowing out at the bottom there because it's going to sit on a table like so you're really not going to notice that. All right, I'm going to do the rest of this and I'll be back. Okay, so our turntable's done and I decided it needed something to finish off the edge, so I added some twine on top and just used hot glue to glue it on. And I'm not too worried. Like, I know it's not perfect, but the piece is going to sit on top. This is just the underneath, and so it was really just I didn't want it clear, and I thought this would be cool, so I'm not too worried about the imperfections in it. And I started work because I was like, oh, a lot of this is going to be very repetitive because we're doing 3 boxes, so I'm going to go ahead and get a start on the boxes now, like do some of the boxes. And so I already covered this one with the wood paper and added the back piece. And I did go in and decide, because originally I was thinking I was going to line it with paper on the top and the sides. And I decided that was just going to be a pain in the neck. So I went ahead and just painted it blue. I painted the bottom white. I'm going to use texture paste to create like snow at the bottom. But this is how they're going together. And the 2 side boxes are smaller than the middle box, both height and depth wise. So what I did for this one was I started with the faux wood paper. Then I added some pieces of chipboard from like my scrap chipboard to bulk it up so it would be level with this guy, because you can see there's like a lip here. And then I realized in doing that I had the chipboard showing at the top and the side and the bottom. So I took a scrap piece of the wood faux wood paper that we made in a previous video and glued that on to cover up that mess. So I learned, put the chipboard on the back first, so we're going to do things differently with this box. And then I went to put washi tape around the front to finish the edges, because you can see here unfinished edges. And I realized I should have put the washi tape on before I put the wood patterned paper on, so that I could wrap it, because it's a little bit wider than my lip, around underneath this. So instead it's going on the inside, which really, once it's all decorated and it's standing upright, not gonna notice, but it's kind of one of those finishing details that you realize as you're going along, oh, I should have done that first. Oh, I should have done that first. So we're gonna do all the things in the correct order this time around. So we're gonna start by putting the washi tape all around our edges. Then I'm gonna add glue. And then this time I can wrap it to the back and not have to worry about it going on the inside. Almost out of our glitter glue. Almost ready to refill. And I finally got the fine tip point off, because what we're doing really doesn't need the fine tip. We've got nice finished edges. Now, if you don't have washi or you don't want to use washi, you could just paint the edges and that would work as well. I just thought the washi would be a nice touch. Now we're going to layer up our back, and I figured out the chipboard I have, I need like 3 pieces of chipboard, and this is like a hair too wide. We're just gonna cut a little bit off. Now, if you're doing something similar, you're going to want to measure your boxes, because I find with the Dollar Tree boxes, they aren't all exactly the same, even the same size ones kind of thing. So yeah, one of the boxes, one side measured like 1/8 of an inch off from what the other side's measurements were. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I'm just using my silicone spatula to spread things out to make sure it's nice and even and the edges are coated well. Which side is, that's the bottom, and that's the side going to there. So I want to make sure it's more flush over here than over here. I think this is these are the edges that need to be the neater edges than those guys, if that makes any sense. Okay, now what we're going to do is measure so that we can cut our wood style pieces. And oh, those are some serious overages on some of these sides. I'm going to have to fix that in a sec. Okay, let's measure. This side is 1 3/4 ish. That one's a little closer to 1 3/4. Yeah, 1 3/4. That's what we're going to cut our strips, and we're going to need 2 strips to go around 3 of the sides, because this side's getting glued to the box. I'm not going to cover it. First, I'm going to cut off any excess I'm seeing. Using another piece of chipboard to kind of file down anything that I think is sticking up. All right, that should be good. Now we can glue these pieces on. All right. Now, I also off camera drilled holes for my tiny lights. So we need to be mindful when we put this piece on that we need to poke that hole back in to the paper. Do that, poke that hole. And then I'm going to kind of push it down and push the paper inward, or try and get it to push inward so that it has a neater edge. And now we can glue this on. Let's see, is there any more glue left in here? A little bit. We're going to use up all this glue, and then I'm going to have to refill my bottle and probably clean out the precision glue tip and all that good stuff. Grab some clamps and clamp this on, and I'm making sure it's perfectly flush to the front. I'm gonna come in and poke the hole again, especially since I got glue in it. Since our tiny lights are gonna go through that. We'll come this way and overlap it a little, but trim off most of the excess there. And I think we may just have enough glue. All right, I'm gonna set this aside, let it dry, tend to my glue since I need more glue and I need to clean out the bottle and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be back and we'll move on to next steps. Okay, next step is we are gonna glue the inky background we did with the stamped trees to go inside here. So I keep doing this where I put it in and then realize it's kind of hard to get it back out. All right, let's glue this down, and I refilled my glue and cleaned out the tip, and so we're gonna have some liquidy glue because I didn't dry the tip out enough. There we go. Not liquidy, watery. Freshly filled glue bottle. Smooth it out at the edges to make sure my edges are well glued. Smooth this out so it's not so lumpy bumpy. Not that it's really going to be all that noticeable. And then double check that I'm putting it in the right way. White side is the bottom. I feel like this one I should have shaved a little bit off of, but we are gonna make it work. I'm gonna grab my bone folder and use it to press this guy down. All right, that is good. That guy is wedged in there well. All right, next step. Okay, I think what we're gonna do next is glue the boxes together, then set them aside and work on some additional pieces for this that need working on. All right, so for gluing them, oh no, 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 no. Oh no. What I'm knowing is I glued these on the wrong way. Dagnabbit. This side is the side that glues to the other piece, and I know that because I put a coat of wood glue on. Because when you're gluing things together, like wood boxes and these sorts of things, gluing to glue makes a stronger bond than if I glue the wood, like just put a layer of glue between the two pieces of wood. All right, of course I did this the wrong way. Let's pull off this. We've got as much of that off as we're gonna get off, I think. So we need to glue a piece over here. All right, let me cut that, and we can glue that on. And we'll start work on the other one while this dries. Yeah, when I drilled the holes, I drilled the hole in this one in the wrong spot. I meant to drill it in the bottom and drilled it in the top. So I kind of changed my plans for how to line up the lights. Set that aside. These two back over. See, you can see the wood glue on here and the wood glue on here, and these two sides line up together because they're going opposite sides to each other like that. And I'm going to use wood glue again, and I'm just going to use a paintbrush to put it on because the top on this just does not work, I don't think. So I know all of this is going to fit against there, so we're just going to go ahead and glue it on. As I said, what I did earlier was I put the wood glue on and then just set the pieces aside and let the glue dry, and it should hold together better now that we're adding basically a second layer of glue and gluing the glue on this piece to the glue on that piece. Now for here, what I've pulled out is I've got a stash of wood pieces that my dad cut for me from just branches. And we're just gonna, I had these all plotted out and then tossed them in here so that they'd be out of the way. And now I'm like, I don't know who goes where. To give these guys like feet that will level it off. Just scrap, because I'm thinking it might be a good idea to glue those now too. All right. I think before we do that, I want to glue the other one on. All right, that one goes on over here. Thankfully, I don't have to line up any drilled holes on this one. So let's add glue. Sorry, I gotta have to go off camera a little or hold it at an angle that's probably not very visible for you on camera, but I need to make sure my pieces are lined up. And they are. And we need feet. All right, let's start figuring out this jigsaw puzzle again, because yeah, I know all of these feet will work. All right, I need to go clean off this brush before the glue dries on it, and this needs to get set aside so it can dry, and we'll come back and work on some other pieces. Okay, so I have got some Tim Holtz People I want to use, and backdrops. So this is going to be the inside of the center section, and we're gonna have this person and our bound up trees for that part. I'm not 100% decided on using these guys, but I think I am, so we're gonna add some color to them. For this one, I want to add green to the trees. I also think I'm gonna use this piece So we're gonna green the trees here too, although it's obviously gonna be trimmed down at some point. I just don't know which direction I'm trimming. So we're just gonna pull out some Rustic Wilderness Distress Crayon and add it on and blend it with a Q-tip. And then grab just a touch of water. Yeah, I like that so much better. Just adding that, just the hint of green to these guys. I may come in with a little bit of brown for the trunks. All right, that one can get set aside for now. Let's bring over this guy, and I'm gonna try and get some red on his jacket. I feel like his jacket should be red, but I don't know how well it's gonna show up because it's so dark. It should blend a little easier on the people because they're glossier than the backdrops. Ton, but it did a little bit. Let's poke out that piece. Let's set him aside. I feel like that should be red too. I think we're gonna try green on her buddy's jacket. Make a ton of a difference, but you can kind of see that it's greenish. So I'm happy with that. And then this group. Up with a little bit of water at the areas where I got a little out of control with the red. All right, I like those guys. They're done. Next step is stamping. So we've got Stampers Anonymous's and Tim Holtz's Home for Christmas CMS 498. And I want to stamp the car with the tree on it. All right, I've got my Misty out. I've got a piece of Canson XL watercolor paper, and I'm stamping on the smoother side. And I'm going to stamp with VersaFine because I'm going to use my Distress watercolor pencils to color. And I have like no room left on this desk because I've got stuff everywhere. Feeling I'm not going to be happy about the tree. Hold on. What we're going to do is wipe off the tree and stamp that with green. right, so I wiped off the tree. I'm just stamping the car. I feel like there's some spots on the wheels that could be a little darker. There are some bits up there that could be a little darker, but I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this. We are gonna grab the green, which Versifying Clair Rainforest. That thing got smudgy though. I feel like the image did not stamp well. It is kind of smudgy. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna flip. We're gonna ink the tree first and stamp it. Is it just me or is that like fuzzy? I think it's the paper. I think it's because the paper's got tooth, because that stamped perfect. I really don't like how fuzzy that's coming out. Let me see what I got. This is Artist Loft mixed media paper. Let's try this one. That's good. We're gonna go with this one. I can live with this. I'm gonna leave it in just in case after we color we want to crisp up anything. All right, I'm gonna do the tree red. Let me just make sure it's my ink is dry. Yep, okay. Now I wouldn't use a distress ink or any dye-based ink for this because they are water reactive, whereas your Versifying Clair is going to be permanent once it's dry. That was the word my brain did not want to come up with. Grab a brush and some water and blend that out. And to grab a little extra pigment, I'm taking my brush to the back of the pencil and lifting color off of there. All right, next let's do the tree. Let's go with pine needles because rustic wilderness is not in that tin and I don't feel like hunting for it. Same basic process. I'm just gonna add water to my brush, blend this out, and when I need to pull some extra pigment from the back of the pencil. Try a lost shadow for our like bumper and hubcaps and stuff. Might need to go to hickory smoke. And I'm gonna grab Walnut Stain for the trunk. gonna do just some really pale blue for the windshield and the windows. So I grabbed Speckled Egg. I am gonna grab combo mono drawing pen and make the tires black. That's a little bit better. I want to grab a sepia liner because I can kind of see where they put in like the hint of the lines tying it down. So there we go. I need to fussy cut that out, but I think I'm happy with it and I don't think I need to stamp it again. I'm gonna fussy cut that off camera because that's just gonna be a little tedious. And then I will be back. Okay, I think we're ready to proceed. I think we are dry enough. I also noticed when I stood this up, and I think this may need one more piece of the wood to go there, but let's work on this side and getting it covered. So the plan is this is gonna go in here, and actually I need to shave off just a hair from it. So let's do that. Glue it in. Then we're gonna have to start putting in, I think, the lights. Oh, I should have slivered off a little bit from the top too. Oh well, it's in now. We'll just press it down. And then what we're gonna end up doing is he's gonna go in here like so. And I think I'm gonna put him on something to push him forward a little bit. And then we're gonna have our Christmas trees over here. And I took pieces of stick and added them on as trunks. So those will go there. And I think I've got some like miniature fencing type stuff that we can use to kind of corral them. That's what's going there. Now over here is where we're gonna put this piece, and I see a gap there, so we're definitely gonna trim it to cover that gap. And I think the easiest way to do this is we're just gonna mark off the little bit we need to trim off on the side, and that got shifted, so that's not great. All right, let's put that where it needs to go, and then grab a pencil. Actually, it needs to come in a little. No, it doesn't. All right, let's trim that down and glue that on. Go. That goes there. They're gonna go on like so, like they're at the Christmas tree farm. Here. Now I don't want them sticking above, so we'll stick them over here. And I do like them. Let's go ahead and stick them on. Now let's add lights. Why are you not going through? don't understand why we're being difficult now. Alright, there we go. Because, and I wanted to do this now because when I put the paste down, I don't want to have to worry about whether or not I can get them through. All right, let's thread the other strand through as well. Both strands are through. Now, my original plan was to put this piece over here and have the car and just add some ground color for the road. But with this here and that there, I'm not loving this anymore. And I unfortunately, like, I went through the Tim Holtz backdrops and I found one that I figured could work. Like, I think it was like this, that I've like completely hacked apart so that we can Frankenstein a piece that'll cover and won't have the people showing. So I got that piece, then I got this piece that's gonna go there-ish to cover up her. This piece that was this piece is gonna go there to cover up that person. He's gonna get trimmed off. And then I've got a couple of off-cut strips from the very bottom to kind of make up the road. So yeah, we're kind of jerry-rigging this one. Alright, and then this one goes on here. And I know it looks a little janky, but once we put the car on, so it's driving on the road, it's gonna cover up enough that that's gonna be less noticeably wonky. All right, now let's see. Okay, so you're getting a bit of a sneak peek of what this side is going to look like when it's finished, because try as I might, I couldn't edit this down short enough to keep it as one video. So we're going to stop part 1 here, and then on Friday, part 2 will be up. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting!